In today's show, we follow the case of Shane Smith and his daughter Rachel, who he assaulted and locked in the basement of their family home. Let's welcome the Crown Prosecutor, Ms. Sacusta, defending Rachel's case, the defense lawyer, Ms. Guyette, defending Mr. Smith's case.
All rise! The court is now in session. Please be seated. Come to order.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Calling the case of R.N. Smith. Are both sides ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, the defendant has been charged with assault. Evidence shows that on June 1st, 2016, victim Rachel Smith was pushed down the stairs and locked into the basement of the defendant's home. Ms. Smith managed to escape the confines of the basement through a window and immediately reported the incident to the police, who then treated her to the proper medical attention. The evidence I present will prove the defendant is guilty as charged.
Your Honor, my client is not guilty of assault. My client did not have the mental capacity to knowingly commit this crime. Mr. Smith suffers from severe alcoholism that stemmed from traumatizing experiences at residential schools. At the time of the incident, he was under the influence and acted in the way his teachers had done to him at school.
Ms. Guyette, can you please provide an example?
As a child, the priest at Mr. Smith's residential schools would often lock him in the basement as punishment, sometimes for days at a time. Often this occurred after Mr. Smith would practice his own traditional beliefs. As he has never had any other upbringing, he raised his own child with the same values.
Your Honor, I'd like to call my first witness, the Aboriginal girl who lives to tell the tale, Miss Rachel Smith.
Please put your right hand on the Bible, ma'am. Put your left hand up. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Good. You sit down.
So Rachel, can you tell me what you were doing the afternoon of June 1st, 2016?
So on that afternoon, I was in my Indigenous Studies class, which I've been taking for about 6 weeks now. In that class, we learned about the significance of smudging and how it is used to purify spaces. And that day, our teacher gave us each a bundle of sage to take to a negative space to help alter its energy.
So you're implying that your home is a negative space to you. Why is that?
Well, my father really struggled with raising me, especially by himself, as he grew up without a proper family structure and never had any positive role models himself in his life whatsoever. So that's understandable. He was always drinking and would often pass out on the couch and sleep well into the next day. There were often times when there was no food in the house and I would have to go over to the neighbors for dinner.
Where is your mother?
She disappeared when I was 6 years old.
And they never found her?
No, they sent out search parties and filed a missing persons report, but the police didn't really do anything. They told us she ran away and to drop the case. That was really the start of his downward spiral.
I'm truly sorry that your family had to go through that. But back to June 1st, you took the sage home with you to burn, and then what happened?
Well, my dad was usually out of the house until around 7 p.m. during the week, so I didn't think that when I smudged the house around 4, he would notice the smell. He came home, and as soon as he walked into the door, there was an immediate change in his stance. He started yelling at me and became violent. He told me to swear that I'd never use sage again, but I refused. After that, he grabbed me by my arm, shoved me down the basement stairs, and locked the door. He told me I needed to stay down there until I learned my lesson, and then he walked away.
Objection, Your Honor. Where's the proof?
I'm wearing a sling.
Your Honor, here are the medical records dated June 1st when Rachel was admitted to hospital and treated for a broken arm and concussion.
I'd like to review the records. Overruled.
Thank you. Rachel, what did you do after you were pushed down the stairs?
Well, there was extreme pain in my right arm and my head was spinning. I tried the door, but it was locked. So I called out, but no one answered. I didn't have my cell phone and I wasn't going back to get it because I had gotten out through the basement window off of the dryer. I ran to the neighbor's house and they called the EMS for me and they stabilized my arm and my concussion while Officer Reynolds helped me out.
Judge Jenna, here's the police report from that night.
Everything is lining up, Ms. Lacusta. Any final questions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Guyette, you may call your witness to the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Mr. Smith, could you please tell me what happened in your own words on June 1st, 2016?
Well, I got home about 7, as usual, and I could tell something was off. Well, I have allergies, you see, and I smelled sage, and I started sneezing. I told Rachel, you can't be using sage in our house. She knows what happens if we use sage in our house. We started arguing, and then she started speaking in her native tongue, and she started bringing up stuff that she learned in, like, her class. Well, I got really mad. I just couldn't take it. I grabbed her by the arm, and I threw her downstairs. And I grabbed a couple drinks after, and I just forgot about it.
So you punished your daughter for trying to revisit her historical roots?
Well, yes, like I said before, she knows what happens when we do those things in our house. There's consequences.
Objection, Your Honor. That does not justify the acts Mr. Smith committed.
Your Honor, I would like to call in an expert witness on Aboriginal history. I'll allow it.
Smudging is a ritual used to purify or bless people and places. A smudge stick is a bundle of dried herbs, often cedar and sage. And in 1885, smudging was banned under a law known as the potlatch ban. This ban made sundances, powwows, and potlatches illegal.
That is all. Mr. Smith, please tell us about your residential school experiences.
Well, it all started when
a social worker brought me to a residential school where I was greeted by 2 nuns. The first thing they did was cut my hair and change my clothes. They gave me a number and I didn't understand. I didn't know any English, so I asked them what it meant in my native tongue. They weren't very happy about that, and one of them grabbed me and smashed my head into the wall. I learned very quickly not to ever do that again. My number was 348. That's how they identified me.
Objection, relevance.
I'll allow it.
Would you say that the trauma you experienced at residential schools influenced the way that you interacted with your daughter?
Objection.
Overruled. Answer the question, Mr. Smith.
yes.
Thank you, Judge Jenna. That is all.
Ms. Lacusta, do you have any further questions for Mr. Smith?
Yes. So you think it's okay to lock your daughter in the basement because she was trying to express herself as an Aboriginal woman, and you're trying to justify it because you received similar treatment? Judge Jenna, I don't think this is reasonable in these circumstances.
Mr. Smith, please answer the question.
Well, no.
Thank you, Your Honor. That will be all.
Final statements, please.
Due to the witness and medical records previously given, Mr. Smith is guilty of assault.
What constitutes a criminal crime? The accused must have a mens rea, the intent, and an actus reus, the action committed against the victim. Because my client did not have the mens rea, I find these allegations against him to be false.
Objection, Your Honor. Where is the proof that Mr. Smith did not have the intent?
Sustained. Please, Ms. Guyette, show me your proof.
I have these medical records here that show that Mr. Smith was not of sound mind. He suffered from PTSD and transgenerational trauma.
Thank you, Ms. Guyette. Please continue.
I would like to point out that Mr. Smith was not just subject to the abuse of the residential school system, but also he suffered discrimination by the hands of the federal authorities, something that the court may know as starlight tours. Some of his friends have said that it's happened to them too.
Objection, hearsay, and relevance.
Objection overruled. Please, Ms. Guyette, stick to the case.
Yes, Your Honor. The reasons I just explained, I would like to ask the Crown for a less severe sentence for my client, taking into account his Aboriginal heritage, transgenerational trauma, and Section 15.2, subsection 1 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, requiring special attention to be given to Aboriginal...
You do not tell me what the law is in my courtroom, Ms. Guyette. But, however, I will take the latter into consideration.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court is adjourned while I make my decision.
We'll be right back with Judge Jenna. Judge Jenna.
Court is now in session. Okay, I have made my decision. The court finds Mr. Smith guilty of aggravated assault under the Criminal Code of Canada, Section 268(1). However, due to the circumstances of Mr. Smith's past, I feel he will benefit from a conditional discharge, which falls under a method of restorative justice. Restorative justice is used to break away from the traditional system by shifting the focus from the blame and punishment to repairing the issue and finding and fixing the root of the problem. Under this charge, Mr. Smith will have to undergo a series of counseling and rehabilitation programs in hopes of lessening the effects of his PTSD and alcoholism. While the court may feel that there is partiality in this judgment, they are not wrong. However, it is justified to bring amelioration to the disadvantaged individual.
Rachel, how do you think your case was handled today?
I think it was handled well. I actually learned more about my father and the experiences he has endured, and I'm actually really looking forward to taking counseling with him so we can both move forward together.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, how do you feel about your sentencing today?
Well, I'm happy they've taken my past traumas into account, and I'm able to restore my relationship with my daughter.
And there you have it. Stay tuned for the next episode of Judge Jenna and find out what happens in next week's case. Did Shane kill Rachel's mother?